Hey everyone, it is Saturday, December 4th. The time is 4:26 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 3 degrees Celsius. And I'm here on Roncesvalles Avenue, although just to the north of here, it turns into Dundas Street West. And this is the Roncesvalles Village neighborhood. And for this one, I'll be heading south on Roncesvalles Avenue here. Then when I get down to Queen Street, I'll turn east and walk through the Parkdale neighborhood on Queen. And this one should be about 3.2 kilometers in total. So I'm currently heading south down the west side of Roncesvalles. Although some just say Roncesvalles, they don't pronounce the last S. And a lot of people will tell you they just call it Roncy. And this area is bordered to the north by Bloor Street. And that's right where Dundas West Station is. And to the south by Queen, and I think to the west by Parkside Drive. And it kind of curves on the eastern border. There are some rail tracks that I think determine the eastern edge of this part. I've been to Loons before, that place is quite good. And this is Howard Park. That's a 506 Carlton streetcar. And that streetcar line terminates just to the west of here at the Howard Park loop. That's right where High Park is. Alright, I think I'll cross over to the other side of the street after a few blocks. There's the View Cinema. And that place goes back all the way to 1911. Although it did close for a period in, I think, 2006. She Said Boom, new and used CDs and books, right next to the cider house. And this yellow wavy painting on the sidewalk is a new addition to the neighborhood. I don't think this was here last time I walked through. And this has traditionally been a Polish area. In fact, every year they hold a large Polish festival. Well, that was not held this year or last year, but according to the Roncesvalles BIA, which is the Business Improvement Area website, they are planning on holding it in September of 2022. And I think I like this yellow painting on the sidewalk. Kind of adds a bit of a quirky but interesting touch. There goes a 504 King streetcar replacement bus. That is what I was on at the start of this video. I don't think the BIA has anything festive planned for the holiday season in this neighborhood. I didn't see anything on the website, and it certainly doesn't look like there's any extra decorations here. And it's mostly single-family detached homes in this area. Bark Smokehouse. I was just about to question if that was new, and the sign said, celebrating 10 years on Roncy. Sushi on Roncy. There's a European bakery and deli. I think this is one of the better spots to go in the city for Eastern European baked goods and that sort of thing. And coming up on the left is the St. Vincent de Paul Church. That goes back to 1955. And we've got some Christmas decorations across the street, including Yoda holding a candy cane. That church is kind of iconic in this neighborhood. So Hyde Park is just off to the west of here. This is actually Hyde Park Boulevard. That paint I was complimenting earlier seems to have faded in this stretch.
It's just like you're on your own. Wow.
I kind of like that sign. And there's an iconic mural in this neighborhood coming up, just on the other side. Here it is, it's right behind me. Let this car roll through.
Stop.
Wow, the cars here really don't seem to wait for pedestrians. I think that's one of the Carnegie libraries across the street. And that would have been built back in 1916. And there's a few more that were originally designed to look exactly like that. There's one of them in the beaches. There is, I can't read the sign, but it says Polish parishes on it. So you might notice most of the interesting retail in Roncesvalles is on the east side of the street. There's some Christmas trees for sale. I don't see any prices anywhere. I've heard that there's a shortage of trees this year, and they're a bit more expensive. There's the Sangria Lounge, complete with bubble tea for $5.
No, you did anything? Okay, beer. And it was like flavored soda.
As a cyclist, I must say I find these bike lanes kind of annoying. I guess bumps, they call them. They kind of force you into conflict with those waiting for transit.
That is so
pacifying their life right after.
This is Galley Avenue. And here's where Roncesvalles starts to bleed into Parkdale. There's some overlap at this point, as Parkdale starts several blocks north of Queen. Let this car go through. What the hell are you doing? Seriously?
They're everywhere today.
It's madness. Like,
It is.
It doesn't say.
wow. I almost couldn't believe it when that second driver started going through. Oh, that was fun. And now we are definitely into Parkdale.
Automatically chew in for a second.
All right. I think that car rushed through the intersection because the crosswalk was pressed, so the car went east-west through it, and then the car going north on Roncesvalles here didn't want to slow down for the crosswalk, so instead he just honked his horn, almost hit a car and a pedestrian. I hope that made some sense. There's an old streetcar house just on the right here, and behind some of these buildings. And that actually dates back to 1885. So there's an interesting intersection coming up. To the south of Queen, Roncesvalles becomes King Street, and that's the western terminus of King Street, and you can take that east all the way to where it terminates back at Queen Street. It kind of bends up right on the east end of downtown, and to the right here it becomes the Queensway, and to the left it becomes Queen Street West, and that's where I'll be heading along. You can see the streetcar house just off in the distance. Although not too many streetcars are rolling through here due to track work on both Queen and King Street. think at some point early next year this will finally be done. They've been upgrading and replacing some really old water mains along Queen and taking that opportunity to replace the streetcar tracks. Oh wow, look at that sunset off in the distance. Wow, I'd like to be down by the lake right now. Don't know if you can see that kind of purple-orange glow way off in the distance. That's really nice. And now it's Queen Street West.
Passes out the candles in there.
If you want more info on all the track work, there's a 501L. So that'll be going to Long Branch. So Parkdale is loosely defined as going several blocks north of Queen. And it starts where I just started this walk to the west at Roncesvalles and Queen, and to the south it goes down to the lake and it terminates to the east at Dufferin Street, and that's where I'll be finishing this. And the area south of Queen and going east into Liberty Village, I think to Atlantic Avenue, is also known as Little Tibet. There's a very large Tibetan Canadian population here. There's the Parkdale Hall. There's a large antiques market going on in there. There's a lot of Tibetan food like momo along the way.
Oh, up there? Yeah.
Most of the homes in this area are late 18th century, early 19th century homes. Or I guess you would say 19th century, early 20th century homes. They're not 200 years old, but they're mostly a little over 100. And originally this was more of a upper class area. A lot of the homes were occupied by wealthier individuals, and then in the 60s and 70s that started to shift in the opposite direction. And a lot of large apartment buildings to the south started to pop up. Also in the 50s is when the country of Tibet kind of lost their independence. And we started seeing waves of Tibetan refugees into the city. I think the Dalai Lama fled to India at the time. There's a school coming up called Parkdale Collegiate, where 40% of its student body is Tibetan. And this is kind of my favorite time of night to film. The lighting tends to be really good right at sundown. Well, usually it's a little better walking in that direction towards the sunset. This will have to do. And here's a Dave's Hot Nashville style chicken coming up. I think this was the original one in Toronto. They've since opened one up in my neighborhood. That's in Midtown. I remember when this place first opened up, the lineups were quite long. Even ordered some of that on a live stream once. And it is on the expensive side, but I can assure you it's quite good. Tiger City Mall. So in recent years, this area has kind of been shaking off its grittier reputation. It's got a pretty good restaurant and bar scene these days. There's a pretty badass scooter. It's an Apollo Phantom. There's the Himalayan Kitchen.
I should just make a bunch of tiny artworks together.
And I looked up the Parkdale Village Business Improvement Area online. And they too, like Roncesvalles, didn't seem to have anything planned for Christmas. And just south of here on King Street would be the other main east-west strip running through Parkdale. Although the BIA only covers this part of Queen. And these places are all over the city, A&W. I had a Beyond Meat combo yesterday. It was $79 or $7.99. That's per the online coupon at awcoupon.ca. There's Jameson Avenue. That's where the large collegiate school is right there. And a number of apartment buildings that may not have the best reputation, at least as far as their landlords are concerned if you search them online. And this is Lansdowne Avenue. So to the north of here at Bloor Street is Lansdowne Station. There's a CN Tower lurking way off in the distance. And there's a 504 King Street car replacement bus. And on the east side of town, you'll often see Queen Street car replacement buses running on King Street. So it's the opposite over here.
Trivia night.
The Momo House. I really need to come here and try more Momo. I always go to Loga's Corner. And now that dine-in is a thing again, I think this is a great neighborhood to do that sort of thing. There's a Popeyes. I think this is pretty new. Megan the Stallion. And I think this is an artist space across the street at 1313. There's a lot of tiny dogs out tonight.
Yeah, I know, especially being Indian because they have a higher rate of heart attack.
There's the local library branch. And this is Brock Avenue. And it'll take you up through the old town of Brock. And just off to the east of here is the rather popular West Queen West neighborhood. It always makes for a good stroll. Prohibition Pie. And there is the Rhino. That's a great bar. They've got a big outdoor patio. here we go. We are at the end of Parkdale. And it's at these rail tracks here. Ooh, good job. Why stop before the line when you can roll right over it? And it's 5:04. I've got dinner plans at 7. I came here a little early with the idea of making 2 videos, but I only kind of pre-planned this one. So I'm going to end this here in this little park. I'm going to take a seat and figure out what to do next. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed this walk through Roncesvalles, heading south down Roncesvalles Avenue from Dundas Street West to Queen Street West, and then walking east through the Parkdale and Little Tibet neighborhood. And look at that long line of people waiting to board the 29 Dufferin bus. If you wish to support the channel, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description. I have an Instagram account, and there's a link to PayPal donations as well. All right, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.